Okay, here's the queue. So the queue is mostly about the way you interact with it. It's the API. So it could be any data structure, but it sort of forces you into, on purpose is a good thing, to process it in such a way that things are lining up and coming off. So they're being processed, served, however you want to put it. So going back to the kiosk thing, the movie theater guichet, what's that called? Where you buy your tickets. Anyway, you're processing things in first come, first served basis. FIFO, first in, first out. So the way you do it, first of all, is you create a queue of the type of thing you want to store. And again, this is the benefit, like making sure everything's correct as far as data type. So this is going to be people's names, in this case, strings. And then you use the in queue instead of add. So this means line up. So the first person in line in queues first, and then so on. Tom in queue second, Jan in queue third. So they're going to be processed in that order. What does it mean to be processed? That's DQ. So think of it this way: when the person gets up to the beginning of the line, he sort of leaves the line to buy his ticket. So the act of buying the ticket means he's coming off the line. He gets his ticket and he's no longer in the line, right? That's DQ. Now don't confuse this with DEQ, which is spelled DEQUE. That's another kind of data type where you can do things at each end. You don't need to know about that now. But so what this program does is when I click on the button again, button ddemo, I don't know why it's called ddemo. I must have mistyped, but whenever you click on this button, first it clears up the text box, then it creates a queue, and then it in-queues a bunch of people. They line up in this order. Then what I'm going to show you is the count. How many people are online, as the Yankees say, in line. It's going to tell you 6. Then this is how you process this thing. Instead of doing a for each, what you do is while the count is still above 0, go ahead and add things to the list box. But what do you add? You add what you DQ. So the act of DQing will return the thing as a return value. So the return value of this is going to be a string. Why? Because we have a queue of strings. If this had been a queue of integers, the return value of DQ would be the integer that you're DQing. So this is the key thing right here, I think. The fact that when you DQ something, and for a queue, and later on when you talk about stacks, this is not more important with stacks. You usually see it with stacks first, though. We kind of do it in reverse order here. But when you pop something from the stack, it takes it off the stack. Because you're processing, you're consuming the things that are coming in. So DQ will first take it off the queue and then return it as a value to the thing that where you're calling it. So whenever I say list output.items.add qdq, it'll take the first thing on the list, the thing that was added first. In this case, if this is the first iteration of this while loop, it'll take Joe and add Joe to the list box. And Joe will disappear from the queue. So the next iteration, Tom will be at the top, at the front of the line. He'll be taken off the line and returned and added to the list box, and so on until the queue's empty. If you don't do this, you'll probably get some kind of error. Let's do less than or less than or equal to 0. I'm sorry, greater than or equal to 0. And we'll probably get a crash. I should show it running properly first. Yes, so you get a crash. Why? Because you tried to dequeue when there was nothing on the queue. So whenever you're working with these data structures, do be sure that you're checking whether you're trying to do something to an empty one. If you try to do something like remove something from a collection that's already empty, you usually get this crash. So normally you put some exception handling in here maybe, or I do have this while loop that takes care of it as long as I do the proper thing. While it's not empty, in other words, is what you're saying. While this queue is not empty, keep taking things off and returning them so I can add them to my list box. Then at the end, I just show you what the final count is, which should be 0, right? Let's see. I mean, we know it's going to be 0, right? But we just have to run it and prove it. So first it tells us the count that's on the queue after we add all these, we do all these NQs. Let me do it with the mouse, it's in my finger. We NQ all these people. Now there's 6 people on, and then we DQ them in the order that they were added. So Joe first, then Tom, then Jan, right? First come, first serve. And then Nan's the last one who's removed from the queue. At this point, it should be 0. The while loop ends, and it prints out, it adds one final thing to the list, which is the current number of things on the queue, which is 0. By the way, this count, you just have to use the dot and see there's a million other things queue has. Not literally a million, right? But there are a lot of other things the queue has available to it with the dot. This is the basic functionality that I'm showing the simplest example. So you got to count as long as it's above 0. You're queuing and dequeuing, and when you dequeue, you take the thing that's dequeued and do something with it. Sort of like unpacking a box, opening it up, and taking things out, right? That's the basic functionality. There's a lot of other things you can do though. What did I want to say about the list box count? So the queue still exists. Oh, count's a property. So sometimes it's confusing in .NET whether a thing is a property or a method. You just kind of have to know which ones are which. So count's a property here. A property is sort of a method though anyway, but you don't need the parentheses. That's what I'm trying to get at. All right, yeah, that's a queue. We'll show a stack next. I do want to say one other thing too. The old-fashioned array lists and stuff are part of the C# language. These are also part of C# language, but they're also part of the .NET framework. So like Visual Basic would have access to these kinds of data structures too. It's just the cosmetics would look a little different on the top level, but the underlying structure would be the same thing. Next, we'll talk about stacks.